From the New York Post, Biden on Trump 14 days before the election, quote, "We gotta lock him up." Yeah, he actually said it. And I love this because then I guess they say there's a 4-second pause and then he says politically, lock him up politically. Okay.
Politically.
You know what's happening is that when you get old like Joe, you lose your filter. Right. You know, people often say like, oh, old people are so racist. They just say whatever they want. They have no filter anymore. They're not trying to be polite. Some 80-year-old dude is sitting there and he's just like, I don't care anymore. I'm 80. So Joe Biden, you know, he's just not all
I think he got in trouble for the MAGA hat, and this is his like timeout where they told him he had to fix it. I think that's what this is.
I wonder if I think they got the clip here.
He is talking about doing away with the entire Department of Education. He's talking.
Yes.
He means it. It's not a joke.
I hope so.
This is a guy who also wants to replace every civil servant. Every single.
Can only vote for the guy once.
Yeah.
He's separated of the Supreme Court ruling on immunity.
This guy can barely talk.
Be able, if need be, if it was the case, to actually physically eliminate, shoot, kill someone who he believes to be a threat to him.
What?
I mean, so I know this sounds bizarre. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up. Politically lock him.
Oh, but they all clapped for it. They all clapped for it.
Can
This guy's
someone
boss-
smarter than me explain the difference between that and when Trump said lock her up about Hillary?
That's where it all came
I don't
from.
think Trump said lock her up. I think Trump said
You'd be in jail.
because you'd be in jail. Right. She had an email server with, I think it was what we know publicly was 35,000 public records that were destroyed by her staff under her direction. They smashed phones with hammers, thinking that would get rid of the data. And this is plainly illegal.
She had classified in there. It is, but
Yeah.
it has been proved that
So
she
is
had
yoga.
classified
Yes.
material on that server, which was in her bathroom. Classified material is not supposed to be taken
I
outside
don't
of a.
dispute any of that, but at the same
Okay.
time, they're going to say that Trump's a convicted felon, so we should.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, if you're trying
and
to
he
talk
needs
rationally,
to really reckon with that. Get serious.
That he's a felon?
You could go to prison if you don't win.
I think he has reckoned with it.
I mean, I don't know. It's just
He talks about it at his rallies. He's like, they're trying to lock me up.
Yeah.
they're definitely trying to put their political enemies in prison. Steve Bannon is going to get out on Tuesday. Was it?
Yeah,
what it was? He's in jail now, and the reason is because he's a political enemy of the state.
maybe it's just because he's so free spirited that it doesn't seem like he takes it seriously. But maybe
Trump-
I've misjudged.
Trump takes it seriously. Yeah, I mean, his family talks about it. And plus, there have been people who have tried to kill him.
Yes.
So I think he's very concerned about what all this means. And the argument from many liberals is that Donald Trump is only running because he fears going to prison. So the view from the left is that Trump doesn't want to go to... And look, you want to grab those and show Mary? I don't think you've seen these, Mary.
They're awesome.
I don't know what these are.
Just take a look at them. Flip them over.
Oh.
So these are coins. And
Prison or no prison?
yeah, it's president or prison coins.
Where did you get those?
There was a commercial for it on Fox News, and I ordered them on the internet.
I feel like I'm
Internet,
I feel like
Yeah,
I'm a
but it's
90s
Joe Biden.
infomercial.
Look,
Hello.
it's Joe Biden. The blue one is Joe Biden being sworn in with Trump in prison on the back, and then the red one is Trump being sworn in with Joe Biden in prison on the
And
back.
if you dial 1-800, then you can.
And yeah, they're like $30. They're like silver plated or something. I don't know. It's like not even
Silver plated is the most jank way to sell anything.
So here's the deal. Trump said because you'd be in jail. I'm not sure. The crowd would chant lock her up. I don't think Trump ever said that. But when Trump got elected, he says, no, we're not going to do that. And he pulled it back and he toned it down. And I think now he probably regrets it.
Oh, yeah.
Because now they've literally arrested him several times, arrested his lawyers. So the issue now is Trump was bloviating, as he does, and then didn't actually live up to it. And everyone said, oh, okay, fine, whatever. Then they accused him of being a Russian spy. Now, and impeached him twice on insane, bogus charges that ultimately he got acquitted on. I mean, it's ridiculous. And now they're actually trying to, well, for one, in New York, they changed the law so that he could be charged with sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Not charged with, but sued under.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that is he was the only person in all New York State to ever be actually brought in for a crime, right? Like you could shove a woman in front of a subway. She's the 17th person you've killed and you're out of Rikers by the end of the day. That's what's happening in New York.
30 years later, some woman has a story about Donald Trump. They changed the law so that she can sue him. She sues him and they say, aha, look, that proves it. And the best one is the fraud case, civil fraud in New York, where they claimed that he defrauded the banks that he was getting loans from because he misrepresented the size of one of his penthouses, for example. Except he also had an addendum saying information in this packet may be incorrect, and you have to do your due diligence. The bank testified that they were never defrauded. They made lots of money, and they intend to work with Donald Trump in the future. Mm-hmm. And the city said, "No, you're victims. You're wrong. Donald Trump owes us $300 million." So when Biden says lock him up, and you know they're levying false charges against him, it is fair to say Trump also said because you'd be in jail. But what we've seen in the aftermath is that Trump dialed it up to a 2 or a 3, where it's like, hey, Trump, you're getting a little wild there. And then the Democrats were like, implement the order, actually go after Trump and put him in prison.
How about the fact that we have a mugshot of him?
Right.
They made him go to prison, and the law I think the law there is that if they have an updated photo of you, they don't need you to come in for that mugshot, but they did it to humiliate him.
For sure.
There was no need for him to go in.
I think it's fair to say, like, I would put it this way. If you are criticizing Trump, I'm saying you are, but like the rhetorical you, if you are criticizing Trump saying he said because you'd be in jail, and then at his rallies, they chanted lock her up. Now they're saying lock him up. I'd say, okay, so they both get 3 demerits. They should not have said those things. And meanwhile, while Joe Biden is saying this, they're actively trying to put Trump in prison. Yeah. So they've dialed it up to 11.
The lesson I'm learning from this for the future, when we all run for office in our own way or whatever.
Don't you put that juju on me.
What's that?
I'm not running for anything.
Live by the sword, die by the sword is what I'm getting. Is the metaphor, is the saying, is that Trump didn't realize he was playing with fire when he uttered those words, you'd be in jail, to a political opponent. Now, don't make threats that you're not willing to face the consequences of yourself, is basically, especially in the political theater when you're dealing with global power structures.
Trump thought that he could play ball with the deep state, that he'd get elected and then he'd compromise. He brought in a bunch of bad people, and then they were like, yeah, we're not playing ball with you, dude.
Do you think that had he not said something about putting her in jail, that they would not be doing any of this stuff?
It's tough to tell.
I completely disagree.
They might have. It depends on, because the way he governed too. He was kind of hostile towards Hillary just in general. If he hadn't been hostile,
it's all rhetoric though.
It turned out to be rhetoric, yeah. But
how did he govern in a hostile way towards Hillary?
No, it was just how he acted personally towards her.
They were like at weddings at Cipriani's in New York together. Yeah. He was Donald Trump. He was the guy that we saw last week at the Al Smith dinner, sitting next to Chuck Schumer.
Right. And
having a laugh. And Letitia James.
Crazy.
That's how you know they know. The same way Zelensky came in and made sure to stop by with Trump too. People know.
And I'll just stress too, for people who may not know, Letitia James is the one prosecuting Donald Trump.
Yeah.
She's like,
and they were laughing, having a good time together at this Al Smith dinner. And where was Kamala Harris? Nowhere, because she's unfunny and unable to be at a dinner like that.
I should clarify that too. Is it a prosecution or was she doing the civil charges? She did the civil charges, right?
I believe so.
I just want to make, because prosecution is different.
No, actually, no. She's the AG, so that's the prosecutor. So that's the
criminal charge.
She's the one who came in saying, "I'm going to go against Donald Trump and do as much as I can."
I mean, it's as politically motivated as you possibly can be. She ran on the concept. She ran on as part of her platform was, "I'm going to investigate and prosecute Donald Trump."
Right.
Yes.
The false business records.
To answer your question more succinctly, Phil, maybe they would still be trying to put him in jail because of the way he's talked about trying to destroy the deep state. Like Kennedy, they killed. Basically, he was like, I'm going to destroy the CIA and spread it to the winds. That's get rid of the deep state. They off that guy. Trump, there have been a couple of assassination attempts, at least 2, and they're trying to put him in jail. So maybe it's not just the Hillary thing. That was like softening the narrative.
You said, Ian, I almost feel like Hillary's so ruthless that if Trump followed through on that threat to put her in jail, she'd like kind of have a quiet respect for it.
I don't know. She seems craven. Is that the right word?
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, is that
very cowardly type?
She would kind of appreciate it if it weren't an empty threat. Well, if he really followed through.
I think to your point, that's also why you could see Obama campaigning for Kamala right now and how annoyed he is, and that he has absolutely no enthusiasm. And this is a guy where like love him, hate him, whatever. I hate him, but like he's one of the most articulate, well-spoken, just charismatic people that we've ever seen in politics, and he can't muster any enthusiasm for Kamala. And I think it's because he knows she's incompetent. He knows she's an airhead, and he doesn't respect her. And so he can't actually come out and say, vote. You saw the video of him with the guys at a historically black college, and he's like, I forget which one. And they're like, why should we vote for Kamala? And he's like, because she is a like you. Like that's all he got.
I think he's frustrated because if I understand correctly, he was actually one of the people that wanted her to replace
No, I think that's wrong.
Joe.
No, that's wrong. He was the one that organized the media against Biden. He's the one that got him onto that debate stage, knowing that he wouldn't be able to perform.
Yeah,
but I think he believed there'd be an open primary and he'd be able to place someone else that he liked instead of getting Kamala in.
Well, I mean, I'm not. Well, I don't know about that. I think that he was backing. I think that he wanted Kamala Harris, and I think that he didn't realize that she was going to be as terrible and poorly received as she was, because they don't have a deep well of people to go to. You know, Gavin Newsom wasn't going to jump in there and do it. There was talks of it, but I don't think Gavin Newsom has the mojo or the record, because he has to have people forget about how terrible, you know, California has been doing politically.
Yeah, but he's so smooth.
He is very smooth and he can raise money. But I think Barack Obama was aware that because Kamala Harris was the vice president and because Kamala Harris is a woman of color, that the way the left thinks now, there was no way they were going to get someone else in there. You were definitely not going to get a white man in front of Kamala Harris. There would have been an absolute exodus of all of the identity politics based people if they put, you know, Gavin Newsom in there. So I disagree with you about whether or not Obama was in there. And I think that Obama is frustrated because she isn't translating the way that he thought that she was going to.
Could be. They also just don't respect the American people. So I think they really underestimated that. I think they overestimated what they could pull off, right? Because they just think the American people are so dumb, and they are realizing they're not. They realize what we know, which is that people are smarter than they're treated by this government.
Yeah, I do think that's true. I also think they underestimated whether or not young men would vote for her. I think they underestimated the fact that the Democrats have treated young men so poorly for so long that they're just like, we're over this, you know. And the young men have started to realize, you know, the Republicans, you can call them all the names you want, but like they don't hate us. Yeah. And that's a real attractive offer.
When you step back and look at what we're dealing with right now, Kamala Harris is a more unlikable version of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And that didn't work. They couldn't get Hillary in. And that's when people felt more strongly about Trump. People are stoked on Trump. 2016, it's like right now what we're going through feels a lot like 2016. But even more excitement, even more social acceptance, even more social proof, right? And so maybe for the first time, they really got it wrong, because the left is very good at mobilizing. They're very good at understanding how to manipulate the media and manipulate people. And maybe we finally got them out of step with each other.
I think they got it wrong in 2016 too. They were expecting to just ease Hillary Clinton into it.
Yeah, but then they got smart in 2020.
I think that they did, but they also had help from the virus and the novel voiding situation because of the fact that you had to mail ballots out to people. I think that's what I'm saying.
But also, I think it's fair to point out, for all the things that we don't like about 2020 with universal mail-in voting and the weird issues, the lawsuits that were never resolved, Texas v. Pennsylvania is the biggest one. Gallup's polling on the biggest issue and the party favored going back to 1952 predicts who the winner is going to be. So in 2020, when they polled everybody, what's the biggest issue? It was COVID. Who's the party that will handle it better? They said Democrats. Joe Biden ends up winning. I don't know if it really matters. And I think the most important thing in terms of the election is who is going to be inaugurated. That's what matters. Yeah. So you can say Trump won the argument. Look how many more voters he got. Look how he won this, won that. It's like, yeah, I think in terms of walking up to a person and saying, who do you want to win? Trump wins the argument. In terms of Democrats knowing how to get people to sign their name to a piece of paper, the Democrats won.
So forgive me if I'm prying, but Aaron, did you vote for Trump in 2016?
In 2016, I actually wrote in because I wasn't sure he was going to be conservative. Because I'm a true conservative. Yeah.
Mitt Romney?
No, it wasn't Romney. I'm not one of those.
It doesn't count either.
No, but the thing is, because I was in New York, here's the I actually asked myself, who would I have voted for if I had been in Pennsylvania, which is where I was voting before, back in 2012. But 2016, I wrote in because I thought he's a New York Democrat businessman, and I didn't trust that he was actually going to be conservative. Then I saw he was. And so 2020, I was one of the 14% in Manhattan that voted for Donald Trump. And now I'll be voting in Florida for 2024.
Some good that did him in Manhattan.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. That's why in 2016 it was like, he's not conservative. I don't like this, but and then he really was.
I don't think he's not particularly conservative. He doesn't really strike me as it. He's kind of
No, he's not. He's not definitionally
pretty moderate.
He doesn't really do a whole lot of the actual legislating. Like the Congress was made up mostly Republicans, and the policies that really, economic policies in particular, that really helped America, they were written by Congress, passed by Congress, and then he signed them into law. But it's not like Donald Trump is a gut guy. He's not a policy guy. So
he's still a New York businessman.
He is.
At the end of the day, he is.
And pro-business policies are good for America overall, because if the rising tide raises all ships.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a population that has a lot of economic activity, poor people get richer, capitalism works. So as much as people love to go ahead and say, oh, not everything's economic, at the end of the day, economics is a real big thing.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.